Hello, today we're going to do applications or rates in context. Mighty Cable Company manufactures cables that sell for $120 per meter. Sells for is a rate of $120 per meter. For cable of fixed length, the cost of producing a portion of cable varies with its distance from the beginning of the cable. Mighty reports that the cost to produce a portion of the cable that is X meters from the beginning of the cable is 6 on the square root of X dollars per meter. So the rate that it costs to produce is 6 on the square root of X dollars per meter. Note that profit is defined to be the difference between the amount of money received by the company for selling the cable and the cost for producing. So profit equals the amount of money somebody sells it for minus the amount of money it costs to produce something. So remember, huge AP topic. When you integrate a rate, you get an amount. So when you integrate miles per hour, it gives you total miles. If you integrate dollars per meter, it's going to give you the amount in dollars. So in part A, it says find the Mighty's profit on selling a 25 meter cable. So remember, profit is equal to the integral. Now, the amount it sells for, so for a 25 meter is going to be 0 to 25. The cost is $120 per meter minus it sells for minus the cost to produce it is 6 on the square root of X dollars per meter. This is dollars per meter and dollars per meter. dx. Guys, this is a plug in your calculator, plug and chug. So you should be able to do this on the 84 and the 89. So if you're doing it on the 84, it's in the math, or you can plug it into Y1 and integrate it from the graph. If you're in the 89, it's second 7, integral, type out the function. It's the function, comma, x, comma, lower limit, comma, upper limit. So if you do that, you should get $2,500. Using correct units, explain the meaning of the integral from 25 to 30 in the context of this problem. So you're integrating the rate that it costs. Now, it's the cost to produce the cable from the 25th to the 30th meter. So the integral of 25 to 30 of 6 on the square root of X dx is equal to, this is the rate of cost. So it's the cost to produce the wire from the 25th to the 30th meter. The cost in dollars. Make sure you're using your units. It's the cost in dollars to produce the cable from the 25th to the 30th meter. If it had been from 0 to 30, it would have been the cost to produce a 30 meter long wire. This is just the cost from the meter 25 to the meter 30. Now, write an expression involving an integral that represents the profit on a sale of a cable that is K meters long. So instead of going, I'm not asking you for the one that's 25 meters long, I'm asking you for one that's K meters long. So it's just profit equals the integral. Instead of from 0 to 25, we're going to do 0 to K. And it's the 120 minus 6 on the square root of X dx. So that's for any length of K. How much you're going to make minus how much it costs to make. Now, how do you find a max or a min 100% of the time? You take a derivative, set it equal to 0, and solve. And then we're going to justify that it is a max. So if profit equals the integral from 0 to k of 120 minus 6 on the square root of x dx. What happens if I take a derivative? So my profit is going to equal, profit prime is going to equal 120 minus 6 on the square root of k. When you take a derivative of an integral, that's the first fundamental theorem of calculus. These cancel and it just changes variables. So it's 120 minus 6 on the square root of x. Now, if I set this equal to 0, remember, I can solve this. This one is so easy to solve. You can solve it by hand. On the 89, you can use the solve feature and set it equal to 0, comma, and solve it. Or if you have the 84, you can put it in y1 and find the zeros. Now, if you solve this, you get k equals 400. So you're going to maximize your profit if the length of the cable is 400 meters long. But how am I going to justify that length is a max? Well, you have the first derivatives test or the second derivatives test. The first derivatives test, if you're justifying a max, you have to tell me that the first derivative changes from positive to negative. So if I do here, I put 400 in the middle, I'm going to find profit prime of any number, but let's say I'm going to do 100 because that's easy to find when I plug it in here. So that's going to be 120 minus 6 on the square root of 100, which is 120 minus 60, which is equal to a positive number. That's all I care about. So it's positive here. And let's find profit prime of, let's do 900. Why did I pick 900? I picked something that it's easier to take a square root of. So this would be 120 minus 6 on the square root of 900. So this is going to be 120 minus 6 times 30, which that is a negative number. Again, I don't care what the answer is. I just care that it is negative. So AP is never going to read a sign chart, so I'm going to have to spell it out for them. So now it said, find the maximum profit. I found the length that gives you the maximum profit, not the maximum profit. So to find the maximum profit, I just plug that in to my profit function. So profit equals the integral from 0 to 400 of 120 minus 6 on the square root of x dx. When I plug that in my calculator, either the 89 or the 84, it doesn't matter, I get $16,000. So now, and justify my answer. They're not going to look at my sign chart. K equals 400 is a maximum because profit prime changes from positive to negative. At K equals 400. So AP exam, the points for this one would go +1 for setting up the integral, +1 for the answer, +1 for answer with units. And my units are dollars and meters. Problem C is worth 2 points. 1 point for the integral into grand. And then 1 point for the whole expression. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that leaves me 4 points for the last one. So you got 1 point for setting the derivative equal to 0. You got 1 point for the value of 400. You got 1 point for actually answering the question, what was the maximum profit? Not the length, but the maximum profit. And you got 1 point for your justify. So there's our 9 points.